use it, how wise they were. Because if you look at, for example, the means of communications they used in the ancient world, the doves, the smoke, the smoke signals. By the way, we still use the smoke signals in the present day. Because the pub, when they were, how is it called? When they were getting the pub to be, there was the use of the smoke signals, right? About the movement, the cars, right now we use cars, but you might find in that period they were using horses and whatsoever. So realize these people were wise. The pyramids of Egypt, these people, go and bring for me my power bank here in the charge. The pyramids of Egypt. Do you know that even in our present day, our scientists have not found out the technology those people used? Like they were truly so wise. So using the bricks instead of stones now, they decided to make bricks and use stuff. What are you hurry up? My phone is not coming. Sorry, you people, my phone is bringing issues now. I have to run for my life. So getting back to the preaching now, as they were trying to build a great city, they're talking about the scattering that they said, come, let's build a great city for ourselves. This will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world. You realize they also knew that once they get scattered, they will be weakened and they needed unity. You've realized that in the present day now, when you people get scattered, for example, in your families, the mother gets married in another family, the father is hitting the mother, the father is getting another wife, the children, and you know that whole confusion actually follows even the children. They will never get stable families. But when there is that unity in the family, that's how the parents are paying tuition school fees for you. That's how the father is being able to take responsibility of what he's supposed to do at home. That is how they're helping each other. The mother pays school fees this term, and then the father comes in to help give you pocket money. They cover up for each other. That unity, you realize it. Even when you're studying, like everywhere, unity, you need unity. You're studying when you have your group mates, you know, all that reading, like everything flows well when you have that unity. hmm What else were they saying? They are talking about famous, that they will make, this will make us famous. Human pride. You realize there is human pride there. Talking about looking for fame, you've seen leaders, not just leaders, even artists rising to power to just gain fame. You know, you have those examples at your home. There are people who know who will say, if you're going to maybe Mbara Town, me, my shop is known. For example, Mugerwa and Sons. I'm just taking an example. You don't know Mugerwa and Sons. Everyone knows me. You know, someone made a business just to be known. They want only to be known, not just being a business, but they're saying, how on earth don't you know me? How on earth? Because if you're going to be Harwe, you must bypass me. In our village, we have someone called Master. So that guy will tell you, Wa Master to kwamanya. How on earth don't you know Wa Master? Everyone knows Master. So that kind of self-gratification, you're, you're gratifying, you that pride. What does the Bible tell us about pride? In the Old Testament, that is in Proverbs 16:18. We may not go there to read, but Elvis will be noting down those verses. That pride leads to destruction. That is in the Old Testament. How about in the New Testament now? That God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Now you can imagine after getting that pride, because they want to build the city, the reason they want to build it is to be famous and keep. It's not a great thing, but they literally want to get a name for themselves. You look at that self-gratification, the pride. Talking about again in the Old Testament about pride. It's, I think, in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12 to 15. talking about Satan's fall, how Lucifer was sent from heaven after he was expelled from heaven after desiring to be like God. You will read there. You know how, because Satan was one of the angels of God, but now he gained pride. He also wanted to be like God. He wanted to do things like God. Boom, and he was expelled from heaven. Pride, human pride, and self gratification. Talking about unity now, let's first leave a bit part of pride. Talking about unity again, what does the Bible again tell us about unity? In Acts chapter 4, verse 32, that believers were one in heart. And you know, when you're one in heart, by the way, it now becomes easy for God to bless you. Because, you know, even when we are praying, which verse is that that tells us that when we are one or two in prayer, that you will answer our prayers, right? When you're one or to that unity, when you're together, it becomes easier for God to bless you. And that's how God blessed Abraham and his wife. Because he actually told him that I'll bless you and make you a blessing. So you realize actually that you don't have to chase the blessings. You don't have to, every time be on tension that you want the blessings. You actually need to chase the blessing, the person who blesses. You're supposed to chase that blessing person, not the blessing itself. And again, another verse that talks about unity. First Peter chapter 3, verse 8. That finally all of you should be of one mind, sympathize with each other, love each other as brothers and sisters. Now, this unity, of course, you need to unite in things that will help you. You're not going to unite every time in evil things. If you take an example, a good example is the scenario of NRM. These were 27 people. They sat on table, went to the bush, and are now ruling us. Do you all realize that? Since I was born, I found Museveni leading. Up to now, the guy is still leading. I think it was because of their unity that time. Sitting on table and deciding that they have to go to the bush and take. I don't remember that history. I don't remember who was the president by that time. Literally, it was Obote or Amin. I'm not sure, but you can imagine the unity they had to take that step, go to the bush, and decide that we must rule Uganda, whatever it is. And now up to now, they are still ruling us. It all originated from their unity. And what kind of unity do you clearly need? You need to focus on unity of things that glorify God. You realize that these people, the unity they had was to challenge God, which actually led to their destruction. And when you go to verse 5 up to 8, where the Lord was also surprised, because the Lord was surprised the way these people they had unity. He said, look, the people are united and they all speak the same language. After this, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. Those were quoted words from God, because he actually said it, that there is nothing that will be impossible for them if they are united. He was also surprised at how the people got united just because they wanted to challenge him, and he knew, since they have tried to do this, they are capable of doing anything else. Someone who is capable of thinking such a thing, that means they will make another step to do another thing that will overwhelm God. So what he decided, he said, come, let us go down and confuse the people with different languages. Do you realize this is the origin of different languages and culture that we have right now? Why don't you ever ask yourself a question? Why do I speak Nyankode and then another person is speaking Uganda and then another person is speaking English? All that. This was the origin of different languages. After God coming down and confused all these people, I think was it after the Tower of Babel that Noah and the floods came in, and so the people who remained, they are the people who remained with the different cultures and languages after this scenario here. What do we get from this? Have a motive. What is your motive to be at Mast if you're a student? What is your motive to be at Makere? What is your motive to start that business? What is your motive to go into that marriage? What is your motive to be in walking wisdom? Of course, you have to get a great motive. You'll never go wrong. But if you get the negative unity, negative motive, you need to quote the word motive in that. Have a positive and great motive in actually whatever you're doing. Well, you want to do things for, you can't just do things. I went to mass, to do my own things. My parents forced me there. I went to campus. I don't know, you won't literally get anything. Have a motive. What else does the Bible tell us about unity? In Psalms 133, verse 1. Someone needs to go there because I cannot keep reading the verses alone. I want people to see these things, the exact things in the Bible, the evidence. People to sleep. Elvis, you turned for us on Psalms chapter 133, verse 1.
Okay. Can I read?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, it says, behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. I
Are those my
continue?
words? You can stop there. It's okay.
Yes, so should I continue?
Those are not my words. The Bible
It
itself
is
is telling us.
Psalms 133, verse 1 says,
Yes.
behold,
We are
yes, Ronah.
listening.
Okay,
We are
yeah,
listening.
Psalms 133, then verse 1.
Mm.
Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious oil upon the head running down on the beard of Aaron running down on the edge of his garments.
Quoting the first statement literally, because it is telling us the real thing, what I'm talking about. These are words from the Bible. It is evident enough how good and pleasant it is when brothers live together in unity. And somewhere in verse 3, they add in harmony. When you're harmonizing about something, those who know English, you will understand it. You realize the Bible has its own way of stating things about unity and harmony. It will always, there are many verses which talk about unity, harmony, all that. And the Bible is always quoting things like, shall we, let us. I think we've observed that, those who normally read the Bible, you realize it is always saying, let us do this, shall we believe. An example of a verse that I know is Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. That is our theme verse for my church where I go to, the All Saints here in Bara. It was our theme verse for our fellowships this year. Actually, this year, the whole of this year, any services was our theme verse. That let us not become weary in doing good. You quote that, let us. The Bible will always quote, let us, shall we, the unity itself is emphasizing unity. Let us, there's also another verse, which verse is it? But it's like, let us then approach God's throne of God with confidence. I'm not remembering the verse, but you realize there is that element of let us, shall we, the unity. What other things do we learn from this Tower of Babel? God's power. What can God do? You will be proud. You will think where you are, no one has reached there. You know, when some people get successful, they forget where they are from. When someone rises to power, you've seen these things. For example, you vote, you killed it. He was your friend, your good friend. When they reach there, they no longer know you. Hmm? They don't know you. Now for you, start becoming a commoner, a normal person to them. And like there's nothing you can totally tell them. What God can do, God's power. Anytime it is possible for God to do anything at that time, you can lose that power. You know, these are the things. And it's so funny how we come to the world with nothing and then we chase after everything and then go back to the soil with nothing. Go back to where we came from with nothing after chasing about everything. You know, it is that funny that the pride we have won't take us anywhere. If you decide to think of yourself, pride is a little bit related to selfishness because when you're selfish, you want everything for yourself. And now when you're also proud, you're looking at yourself as you higher than everyone and everything good. It is when you think you're the only one who has it. Anything can happen. Anytime God can take you back to zero. That the consequences of challenging God, of challenging the divine authority, you realize what happened to these people. Not just that he scattered them, after scattering them, they stopped building the Tower of Babel. Because their motive, when I was young, while we were reading this story, they used to tell us that these people were building the Tower of Babel, that they wanted to see God. Of course, it's a bit related, but their main aim here, as we've grown and read the story ourselves, they only wanted to make a name, they wanted to make a great city, and they are known that, for example, you know the way we know USA, it is the most powerful, is it a continent or a state? It is the most powerful state. That is the name they wanted. Just they had unity because they wanted to be known, to be famous, just that. And now, of course, when you become proud and you start to overlook people, you start thinking, I know everything, no one can challenge me. I won't get you've had women. You know, women, we are the people who normally quarrel. It is not common with men, especially these people who rent in these, how do you call them, omezugwe. You will find them quarreling. There's nothing you give me. There's nothing I get from your home, especially when maybe one of the women was talking about this one, and this one is trying to quarrel back. I don't eat from your house. I don't eat from your home. Your husband doesn't give me anything. You know, such things. And then when you're also proud, you start thinking, I don't get anything from this person. This person doesn't. You know, they are actually the ones who benefit from me. When you start to get to that level, know that you're finished. You need to come back to God. You need to back, come back to God, ask for forgiveness, because anything can happen. So there are many things we learn from this Tower of Babel. So far, the things I've talked about: having a motive, unity and ambition, God's power and sovereignty, and then pride, and then disobedience. Talking about disobedience, this is in many verses in the Bible. If you remember about Adam and Eve, it was through disobedience that they were chased out of Eden. Because after God saying, you're not supposed to eat this fruit in the middle of Eden. And they wanted, because the snake lied them that they would be wise. And now they were also anxious of being wise to know what also God knows. That's challenging God. It's related. You're challenging God. You want to know what God knows. And now here, this is where we get the problem from. You would realize you're forgetting what you were, you're forgetting where you're going, and now you're losing track. So we need to pray to God that we don't lose track, we remain humble. In our language, we call it okuchelera hansi y'omukono gwa Ruhanga. Because there is nowhere God will start from when you're proud and you think you have it all. You think you know it all. Shina, I did talk about Shina, where they built it. The land, the fountain, I mean the plain they found to build that Tower of Babel. It is the present Iraq. And now you can imagine what happened in Babylon. What happened, how God burnt the city down, about the Lord's wife, and then now what is happening in Iraq. You can relate. You can relate that it was Babylon the other time, though it is now Iraq, because yes, the media tells us that Shina is the present Iraq. What is happening there, you can also see. I have a friend who normally tells me that, the world is getting to an end. Of recent, I was watching a video someone was recording. It is a hotel. It's a hotel. It is called Lucifer's Breakfast. Something like Lucifer's Donuts. Eh? And now we realize people no longer hide their evilness. The devil is no longer hidden. People are bringing it out clearly enough. They are normalizing what is not supposed to be normal. You realize that people, and then what was drawn on that building where they made those donuts, it was Lucifer's Pizza. I've remembered. It was Lucifer's Pizza. And there were people, they were happily going there, buying everything there, people happily, paying their money. What a spiritual consequence people are going through. Unknowingly, by the way, there are people who don't know. There are people who don't know that these things are real. It is in Los Angeles. After here, you go to your media and search Lucifer's Pizza in LA, Los Angeles. You will see it yourself. People are no longer hiding evil. You look at the world, the way people are normalizing homosexuality and lesbianism. These are the things that were happening in Babylon. People are normalizing everything totally. What is wrong, and they are normalizing it. And talking about the election stuff, I was from seeing a status. One of our mayors lost to Kachebes. Is called, I think, Seth Muradi, Honorable Seth Muradi. And the guy went to his status and abused people. I wish someone could clearly get that thing and bring it here. The words were so ugly. I cannot bring them here. I cannot say them here. That's how people are normalizing arrogancy. People are normalizing being rude, all that. You realize when you are so high, when you're in high power, and no one can talk up, because all the words that he put on his status to abuse people and all that, it's because he knows he is able. No one can talk about him. The pride, the human pride, it is so sad. We need to come back to God. I still had a lot to say, but I really cannot continue because this is the first time I am preaching and I'm getting close to the time. Because getting this preaching, it was so sad that every time I would know that I'm going to preach, I would get an example that would make me angry instead. We need to come back to God and stop being proud of ourselves. Let's have the positive motives, the positive unity, and obey God. That song of trust and obey. Let's obey God. There's no way God is going to bless. Let's make a way for Him to bless us through all that. I hope we are together. Elvis, I'm done.
Okay. Thank you very much, our sister, for today's word. Oh, today you have reached 10:00, so it has been wonderful. By the way, Ronah Kemigisha, she is a teacher, as she introduced herself, physics and math. So today's word was more of teaching. Sometimes people need words. You are buying a car tomorrow. So, but today's word was like, we need to change ourselves. We need to take away this pride. It was as those who came early. The story was from the Tower of Babel, so it was telling you, how the pride, how people wanted to make famous of themselves. And I even talked about it last meeting on Tuesday. It's that as long as we fulfill our purposes on earth, we don't strive. No, God will make you famous if you are indeed to be famous, but we don't need to strive. And there is a point which she had noted, the point of normalizing evil things. Things are being normalized, evil things are being normalized. Sometimes it's like when I speak of those evil things, people see you as the one who is, people, like I saw some posters where, like, people now, like, people are comfortable about with the sins they don't commit, something like that, something like that. But because people are normalizing sin, so they think that every person who speaks about sin, that person has his own problem. So I don't know how I can say this, but surely today's word has been more of teaching. And that's why I love this walking wisdom. Why? Because we have teachers here, and truly today's preacher is a teacher. So the fact that she is a teacher, she had to teach us. These words maybe will stir you to change inwardly, to change, to become a new person. Take away the pride. We all have pride here. Some of us have pride. Some of us just have received the logos, not just the rhema. We just have the logos word of the Bible, but we want to run over the top, and everyone will know that I know the scriptures. Everyone you have to call me Papa, because you have just received the logos. You haven't even understood the rhema. God hasn't spoke to you, but you are like, everyone has to. So thank you very much, our sister, for this word. Thank you for everything. And for the t-shirt, each, by the way, we'll update you tomorrow. We are distributing the third batch from 1st to 7th of August. So don't worry, your t-shirt is there. If indeed you contact Blair and me. So we are finalizing this, the third batch, and probably will be the last, those who will be in distant places away from Kampala. So thank you very much for joining us today. May God bless you. May God be with you. May God's hand move with you until we meet for the last for the last sermon. Our last sermon will be on Tuesday by Helen. So please don't miss that sermon. I know we all have different, some of us here are prophets, some of us are evangelists, some of us are teachers. Like today's word, it was more of teaching. So if you have not learned, surely. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. May God bless you. Have a blessed weekend. If you can make it on Sunday for prayers, yeah, we'll be waiting for you. Keep praying for us. May God bless you. We'll meet on Tuesday. Good night. Good night. Good night.